Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, we're going to talk about possible cowardly coaching. And Jimbo's getting called out big time from the game against Alabama. We're going to talk all about that. Now, I was unable to do a video yesterday. I went out and played golf. And usually when I have a day of golf, I just make it about that and just kind of chill out.
I was unavoidably detained.
And played okay. Couldn't play my normal course, which is Sevierville Golf Club, which is typically where I play, because they've got the state high school championships there all week, which is pretty cool. And I'm glad they're doing that. So I played a little place called Gatlinburg Country Club, which is actually in Pigeon Forge, and it's a lot of fun. It's a much older golf course. You know, it was probably built back in the 50s, I believe. But it was fun to play. The back nine's super tight. It's very scenic. And every shot off the tee, you'd better hit it straight or you're not going to be happy. But it's fun to play a golf course where every shot really is tough. The front nine's pretty easy. But anyway, enough about golf. Yeah, but Jimbo's really getting called out by this young lady and many others. So let's get into this first story, and then we'll get into the heart of this thing. And this is on Saturday down south. It says Jimbo Fisher called gutless for overly conservative fourth down decision, scared coaching. It says Jimbo Fisher did not impress the Texas A&M fan base when he failed to go for it on 4th and 1 on Alabama's own 45-yard line. And typically, almost every coach will go for that, especially when you're on the other side of the field. It's just the odds are so in your favor of getting that. And if you don't, what are you going to get out of that? 25 yards max? So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense unless it's, I don't know. I still can't understand that. That just seemed kind of counterproductive is a nice way to call it. Now, what a lot of Aggies fans are calling it is gutless and scared coaching. Said once Alabama got the ball back and went 80 yards across 6 plays to take a 24-17 lead, that only made the fans even angrier. It says Alabama got 14 points and a key interception from Caleb Downs in the third quarter alone. Meanwhile, the last 3 Aggies possessions ended with a punt, interception, and a run out of the clock, a conservative choice to close the first half. And here's just some samples. It says 4th and 1 on the Bama side of the field, net 27-ish yard punt. Scared coaching by Jimbo. If the Aggies lose the game, it'll be because of decisions like that. Jimbo punting on 4th and 1, gutless at the 45. So Jimbo still punting for a touchback, and that's why he makes a few million a year. And Barstool SEC said Jimbo punting on 4th and 1, mind-boggling stuff, never changed Jimbo, and so on and so forth. So nobody was happy. What does it say? Gutless strategy by Jimbo, punt on 4th and 1 to gain 25 yards. So, yeah, they were having a bit of a field day. Now, there's one young lady actually from Barstool Sports who's a huge Texas A&M fan, and needless to say, she was not happy one little bit. And she kind of went on a tirade about it very angrily. This was an interview on On3, and you'll get the picture pretty quickly.
You know, every once in a while, making a bad coaching decision is going to happen. Like, I don't anticipate, those never happening, regardless of who the head coach is. But then to get up in a press conference afterwards, and like I said, I don't know if he's playing ignorant. I don't know if he's just comfortable. I don't know if he just thinks that people aren't going to understand or people aren't going to call it out, whatever. But to say things like, well, we didn't go for it because it was 4th and 1, but if it was 4th and inches, we would have gone for it. Anybody that watches football, anybody that has a brain knows that that's not how that works. That is not the correct answer at that point.
Yeah, you're 4th and 1 on the plus 45. Every
Right.
nerd is going to tell you to go for that. And just from a common sense standpoint, fortune favors the bold. At some point, you have to say, my big people are going to go against your big people, and we're going to try to get this through.
You've got to go for that. You just do. Everybody knows it. It's 4th and 1 on their 45. Even if you don't get it, so what? Yeah, they get the ball, but on their side of the field. But what if you get it and you get to keep moving? Or what if they play it up tight and you throw a pass and you score a touchdown? Now you're in fantastic shape. So you've really got to go for that. You've got 2 out of 3 things that could happen great. And the worst case scenario is they get the ball at the 45 instead of probably the 20. So it's only 25 yards you're going to gain out of it. And that's if everything goes wrong and you don't get it. But typically you can get a yard, especially think about the fact that the running backs can push the quarterback forward or anybody can push the running back forward. they changed the rules, and it's a lot easier to get a yard now. So that made no sense at all. And I can only figure that he just had no confidence in his offense to get the yard. That's the only thing that makes sense, which is really weird because it's Texas A&M and they're good in the trenches. This is not some little weak team. And even the weak teams would have gone for it. We're only going to get so many opportunities against Alabama. And that's the thing. How many times are you going to get to go up against Alabama and take the lead against them, and you're at home? And honestly, A&M's got as good a talent as Alabama. So I was very surprised at that decision, and I think everybody else was. But I'm not a Texas A&M fan. I would have been furious. I can tell you if Josh Heupel ever did that, first of all, I'd be beyond shocked because that's totally against his mantra. And if you've watched anything about him, he always goes for it, man. He is a risk taker, and that's just the way he is. He has the mind of a quarterback, and it's always thinking, go, 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 man.
That it's almost just like, well, hey, this is my call. I'm going to stand by it, and then make some sort of excuse. It's just unacceptable. It's just not okay. And Alabama, like Nick Saban is always going to be Goliath, right? Regardless of what their team looks like, whether they're, quote, vulnerable or not, a down year, they have Nick Saban. Why would you coach cowardly against the greatest college football coach of all time? You used to be his assistant. You know what he is going to do. You know what this man has built a career and a legend on. Why would you coach scared? And he did it again.
All right. You know what Nick Saban would do if he were in your shoes in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys taking risk. And even if you go for it, with the 4th and 1 when they punt it, if you go for it and you don't get it, at least you went for it. Like, that's what the frustrating thing is. And I know in retrospect, you can always go back and forth with arguments like that, but you're playing Alabama at home in front of the largest crowd that Kyle Field has ever had with this current stadium. And you make decisions like that, and then you wonder why people are frustrated. And
yeah. Nobody, I promise you, had he gone for that and not gotten it, there's not a soul with a good mind that would have said, hey, you should have punted that. Nobody would second guess that. It's just something you don't do anymore. I don't know if he's got some sort of old school thinking that's really stuck in his head and he's thinking, hey, it's the 1990s again. It's not like that. The rules have changed. Mindsets have changed. Stats have changed. Rules have changed. It's all changed.
If I can change and you can change, everybody can change.
So I just don't get it. I thought that was a very poor decision, and he's taking grief over it. And it could have cost him the game. Let's say they get that and then they score or at least get a field goal. That changes the game dramatically. So I'm going to have to side with everybody on this, that I think it was a very poor decision, and it does seem like he was coaching scared. Now, he'll probably coach the game of his life come this Saturday, and I hope that he does it. But he deserves this criticism because it's spot on, man. You got to go for it, especially against Alabama. You're only going to get so many opportunities to beat Nick Saban because he's going to retire at some point. And that just it's a wonderful feeling to beat Alabama. It's just a fact. And I expect Texas A&M could very well have a letdown after that because they're going to be going up against a well-rested team in Tennessee at Neyland at 3:30. And our crowd base is going to be going nuts. I mean, nuts. And that's going to help us. So they're going to be in for it when they show up here. And it's not going to be easy for them to really go. Because, look, they had a chance to take over the West. If they win that ball game, they're 3-0 in the SEC. They're in the West. They've got a win over Alabama. And had they won that, then they'd have to lose 2 games for Alabama to even have a chance to end up ahead of them. Because if they end up tied with them, they win because of the head-to-head. So I just don't get this. I don't get it at all. And it was just, you had a chance to take over the SEC West and you didn't. And that's, you're only going to get so many opportunities against Saban. So anyway, folks, I did want to cover this because I thought it was pretty interesting. We will be facing Texas A&M Saturday, and I expect them to, look, they're a very talented team. They've got a great defensive front. It should be a terrific game, and I know everybody's excited about it. We never get to play Texas A&M. And this is an opportunity for us to really see what we're made of and what they're made of, et cetera, because they're coming into it in a difficult spot. Okay. And Heupel's 7-1 after a bye, so should be a really fun game. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's remember to continue to cover the Vols and all our opponents and all that good stuff. If you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit that little button. I would appreciate it. And right over here's the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.